So now we're going to have a look at a question which comes from the topics of waves and thermodynamics. So here we're told that the maximal echolocation frequency of a bat is around 220 kilohertz. So the maximal echolocation frequency, that's 220,000 hertz. We're asked, can the bat detect A 4 centimeter long beetle, B, a 1 millimeter long ant? So the trick to this question is to use the fact that the velocity is equal to the frequency multiplied by the wavelength. Here, if the wavelength is less than the size of the object, the bat should be able to detect it. If the wavelength is greater than the size of the object, the bat will not be able to detect it. So this is our formula. In this question, it doesn't seem as if we've been given a velocity. We actually have, though. The velocity is just the speed of sound. So velocity is actually 340, and this is in terms of meters per second. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the wavelength associated with this frequency using v as the speed of sound. So we have the wavelength is the velocity divided by the frequency. Velocity is 340 meters per second. The frequency is 220,000. So now we'll calculate this. Notice meters per second in the top, and then hertz is in terms of per second in the bottom. The seconds actually cancel here. So this will give us units in terms of meters. 340 divided by 220,000 gives me 1.5454 ... times 10 to the minus 3. Now, we could also write this as 0.00154 and so on in meters. Multiply it by 100, and this gives us 0.154 centimeters. If we multiply this by 10, we can then convert this to 1.54 millimeters. So in the case of question A, can the bat detect a 4 centimeter long beetle? Yes. Yes. Because the length of the beetle, the 4 centimeters, is greater than the wavelength. So 4 centimeters is greater than the wavelength, which is equal to 1.54 millimeters. So this is perfectly acceptable. The bat definitely can detect the beetle. The ant, it's a little more complicated. So we're going to say no. It's maybe possible, but from our calculations, we're going to say no. And our reasoning is going to be because 1 millimeter is actually less than the wavelength, which is 1.54 millimeters. So anything less than the wavelength will not be detectable. Anything greater than the wavelength will be detectable. So these are the answers to this question.